Good afternoon. We are on the 21st edition of the Positive Postman's podcast. And we have a very special person here today. And she is the author of several books. She's the CEO of iSalt. She's a transformational speaker and a life coach. And her name is Stae Hall. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited about the conversation.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And partaking in this interview for the first time is my daughter, Destiny Williams.
Hello. Thank you so much for letting me join y'all. I'm very excited to have this conversation as well.
Yeah, I can't wait to chat. I'm glad you're here.
Good. Okay, we are dispelling the myth of the angry black woman. And is it okay if we jump right in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. The first question will be asked by Miss Destiny.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so when I first read the book, I was interested and intrigued in what you were saying. I found it very real and honest. But what struck me most was your voice. You were very assured and still pragmatic, and also had compassion for how we reach these solutions. And I did some research, and you said growing up you felt that you lacked self-confidence, and it took you a minute to kind of find yourself. So could you talk about the journey from young Stae to finding your way and finding your voice?
Yeah, so it's so funny. I definitely lacked self-confidence growing up, but no one who grew up with me or my family would ever say that. Like, I learned early on how to kind of fake it until you make it type of thing. But on the inside, I was just constantly judging myself, comparing myself to other people. I grew up in what I consider like a pretty family, right? So, I mean, the guys and the girls, everybody was just gorgeous. Everybody had pretty hair. And the things that when we're younger, at least growing up in my time, like the natural hair or whatever, like that was considered nappy hair. You know, good hair was if it was curly or straight. And so I was the opposite of all of that. And so my cousins, and like I was just sharing with you a little while ago, Destiny, I've been this height since I was like in the 6th grade. So I was taller than some of my teachers, taller than all the girls and just about all of the boys. And so if you see pictures of me when I was younger, I would kind of crouch down. And so just a lot of that stuff made me feel insecure. And I overcame it by, first of all, talking to my grandmother a lot. I would tell her everything I thought, and she would always have some words of wisdom to make me feel better about myself. And after a while, I started as well not focusing so much on the outside appearance, because I definitely felt like the ugly duckling, and I started focusing more on my talent. So I've been singing since I was 3 years old. I was really smart when I was in school, and so those were the things that I focused on, kind of to keep my mind off of the outside appearance, which is what drove me crazy. I mean, I was tall, I was skinny, I had my lips been this size since I was a baby. But again, stuff that now I'm like, I love my lips, but you know, it takes time.
I love that. And y'all can't see it here today, but she has on 4-inch heels.
Oh yeah,
Staying tall, and they're very bad. We'll have to get a full shot.
Yes, rocking the stilettos now.
And I'm glad that you mentioned your grandmother. You dedicated this book to her.
Yeah.
You talked a little bit about the ways that she influenced you, and I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with the fact that the Black matriarch has often a very important part of the community. So can you talk about some other ways that she maybe shaped your personal philosophy?
Yeah, I had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with my grandmother because, and this is my grandmother on my mother's side, so my maternal grandmother. My mother has a very large family. She's a twin, but she also has 10 or 11 other brothers and sisters, and just about all of them lived on the same street. Oh, wow. So my grandmother lived directly across the street from me. And so I was with her literally every day. When I was really young, my mom was sick a lot. And so I would stay with my grandmother because my mother was hospitalized, had a lot of surgeries and whatever. And so we just really bonded. And I think because she had so many children, there were 29 of us grandchildren. So 29 grandchildren. It's like, that's a lot of people. So she focused on one. So
she can say you're the favorite.
Definitely the favorite. Now my cousin Adam will try to fight me down to the ground about it, and so we finally compromised. I'm the favorite girl, he's the favorite boy, but really it's just me. But I talked to her about everything. And so, and I would watch her and just the confidence that she had because she was the matriarch and like how everyone hung on every word. Right. And so I would just watch her and I would try to imitate her. Like I learned how to cook from watching her and different things. And, you know, anything that happened, I told her. Like I had no problem telling her anything and everything, from being bullied at school because I was bullied as a kid. And she just always, anything she said, I believed it and I ran with it. I love her. I miss her. I lost her when I was 17.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
So
and I still miss her like every day. I was just talking to my sister about it the other day. She was like, "You still tear up when we talk about her," and I'm like,
"Wow."
Yes, and I told my sister, "You didn't love her." I like I loved her. And she was like, "Okay,
you wouldn't get it."
All right.
Well, she did an amazing job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me ask you, Miss Stae, who are you writing this book for, and what message are you sending?
So I get asked this every time I sit down with someone, and the answer is always the same. It's for two very definite groups of people. So the book, number one, is for Black women, but for Black women, it's as a support to Black women, to let them know you're not alone, sis. I'm dealing with this too. No, you're not angry. No, you're not mean. No, you're not too much. You're not aggressive. It's not you. Because sometimes, you know, people can feel a certain way and not want to share it with other people because they're afraid, like, maybe that is who I am. And it's like, no, it's not you. And so I wanted it to be that support. I decided I was going to be that voice to be like, sis, we all dealing with the same struggle. But the other group is for anyone who's not a Black woman, who maybe has adopted some of these stereotypes as true. Maybe they've had an experience with one Black woman that fit into some of these myths and they feel like, oh, it's all Black women. Maybe it's that white woman who works with a lot of Black women or goes to the gym with Black women and doesn't know exactly how to approach them. Whoever is involved with Black women or has Black women in their life and they would like to learn more about us instead of being so afraid to have the conversations, this is a good conversation starter. Another reason, which I forgot to mention why I wrote it for Black women, is because it's also not our job to have to explain to people who we are and to educate them. We shouldn't have to explain to people. We shouldn't have to let them touch our hair. We shouldn't have to, like, we don't need to do any of that. But since it happens so often, I'm like, let me just write a book. So next time somebody asks you to touch their hair, just hand them the book.
Let's stop shop. Thank you so much.
There you have it.
Okay, on page 98 in chapter 17, you said Black women in the United States are 3 to 4 times more likely to die during pregnancy and childbirth. Why is that?
Because we're not taken seriously. And so we talk about doing pregnancy and childbirth. I talk about that, but it's really any type of medical situation that we have. I made it a point to make sure that my whole medical staff, my, primary provider, my orthodontist, dentist, are all women of color.
Okay.
I grew up, my pediatrician was a white man. My first OBGYN was a white man because I went to who my mom went to. No, not doing that anymore. Because they don't understand us. I don't feel like men understand us at all when it comes to medical things. I don't care if you're a doctor. They don't understand how we feel. And then when it comes to people who just aren't Black, it's like Black women are supposed to be strong. We're supposed to have this high tolerance of pain. It's like we were put on this earth to suffer. Right. And then they think that we have this high tolerance, but then on the flip side, they also think we're dramatic. So it's like, it's not that bad. It's not that big of a deal. Just take an aspirin. Just, you don't need to come to the hospital. Those are just Braxton Hicks. And like when I was pregnant with my first son, I remember not feeling him for about a day and a half, no movement, and I was overdue, as a matter of fact. And I went to the hospital, and the first time they sent me home. And my mother and I went back just a few hours later, like, no, there's something wrong. And they're like, oh, well, this is your first child. You're only 20 years old. This happens. Well, finally, when they took me seriously, now we have an emergent situation. They can't find a heartbeat. I have to have an emergency C-section. The umbilical cord was wrapped around his throat 3 times, and he had grown to 8 pounds, 14 ounces. So they're letting me wait even though I'm overdue. And as many of you probably know, in that last trimester, the babies grow really fast. And so he's growing. I'm just this little thing at that time. And, we almost lost him. He had to go straight to the NICU. he was in so much distress as they're pulling them out of me. He has a bowel movement, which drops inside of me. Now I have a horrible infection and end up, it was a terrible,
Horrible.
and I'm like, I told y'all something was wrong, but I was young and I was black and I
You weren't
had
heard.
3 white men as my OBGYNs and I wasn't hurt. Exactly.
You just said a lot, and that sparked a lot of questions, none of which are written on this paper. But I did want to, you talked about how you specifically look for black female doctors, and that made me think about chapter 9, where you discuss intersectionality, which is a very broad topic, and it's really hard, it's very weighty and hard to pull apart if you don't know much about it. So if you don't mind, could you just give the audience just a kind of overview of what intersectionality is and what it means for black women?
For black women, I feel like we hit on just about every oppressed dynamic there can be. We are women, so as a whole,
Right.
there's a struggle, right? And that's what I really yearn for, is for us as women of all colors, races, and ethnicity. I would love to see us band together more, because just as women, that's an issue, right? But then we're black women. So now that's the double. And so then God forbid you be a black woman who's a single mom. Then that's
Right.
something else. Then a black woman who's a single mom that maybe needs public assistance. So now you're poor, you're black, and you're a single mom. And then if you throw something extra, don't be a black woman who's anything other than heterosexual.
Right.
Now it's a whole different. So it's like we hit on every underserved, every devalued population that there is. And for that reason, I feel like we have the hardest struggle, but we also have the most resilience, which in a way, I don't mind us wearing it as a badge of honor, but sometimes I shy away from the words resilience and strong, because if they're not used carefully, it plays into the stereotype.
Exactly.
So it's like you almost don't want to say you're strong, because then it's like, yeah, so
Right.
take some more, because strength to me means you're able to bear a lot. Well, I don't want to bear a lot.
Not all the time.
Yeah, I don't
all the time.
And I'm tired. So you still can have a little strength. I'm done.
I'm a little tired. It's early, but
I'm
I'm getting tired.
Yes.
So on page 58, you said that Michelle Obama, Kamala Harris, and Stacey Abrams have all faced intense media scrutiny, often rooted in racist and sexist assumptions about their competence. What do you mean by that? Or give me an example of that.
Well, I feel like for all of them, I love the fact that they did not do what I guess is called now these days code switching.
Okay.
When Kamala, when Michelle, when Stacey speak, you know from another room that that's a black woman speaking. And I love that, because there's nothing wrong with it. A lot of people take that whole term, which I don't like, but sounding black, as meaning sounding ghetto or hood, which there's nothing wrong with that either.
Right.
I mean, do you, if you're communicating, communicate. But that's not what it means. There is a distinct way that black women, mature black women speak. It's like you hear your mama talking, your auntie talking, and you know that voice. And I love that, but they were scrutinized for that by a lot of people. They were, called names like ghetto or uneducated or whatever. But I love that they never changed it up. And Michelle, with just the way she dressed sometimes, they talked about her having her arms out. Like, what was wrong with that? But then they would also say she looked masculine because she dared to have a little tone in her arm. All things that white women who present the exact same way, we celebrate that. But black women, no, you don't do that. And so I just saw that happen with all of them.
Where do you think that mentality comes from?
It comes from the very beginning. Again, Malcolm X said it best, and I can't quote him verbatim, but black women were the lowest on the food chain. We're the most disrespected, undervalued, all the things that he said. And over time, no one has really challenged it except us, and no one's listening to us. And so it doesn't matter who you are. I think the only black woman who has overcome it a little bit is Oprah Winfrey. Other than that, it doesn't matter how educated you are as a black woman, how pretty you are, no matter what your title is, there's still going to be that underlying that people don't even try to hide, except for Oprah a little bit.
Well, I also feel like, and another reason I really appreciate this book is because it forces people to confront their bias. Some people have a prejudice against black women that they don't even know about, right? And it goes to what you were talking about, how typically we code switch or we try to dim ourselves, or black women try to dim themselves in order to not be so bold and such a burden around other people. So that's a really interesting thing.
Yeah, we try to make ourselves small,
right?
And it's just like,
but society expects it of black women also.
Exactly. And it was a time where we kind of did it to get to where we needed to be. But I love seeing now that it's like, yeah, I ain't doing that no more. I'm not doing it.
We are dispelling the myth of the angry black woman. I like the fact that you brought up Malcolm X in this interview.
Okay.
That means a lot.
Yes. Yes.
Next question. When a black woman often advocates for themselves or speaks truth to power, their actions are often mischaracterized as anger or aggression, further perpetuating this harmful stereotype. What do you mean?
We are just not allowed to use our voices ever. We are definitely like in this category of to be seen and not heard, and they only want to see us in certain positions, see us if we're serving and don't say much. But anytime we dare stand up for ourselves, then if they can't stop us, then they'll act like now they are afraid of us. It's like, oh my gosh, calm down. Why are you so angry? Why are you so upset? And we're not even yelling. We're just daring to use our voice. I write about a story in the book where I was at a restaurant and had a new waitress. It was a restaurant that we frequented. We had a waitress that waited on us all the time for probably 2 years or so. And Wallace and I went there like once a week. Well, she moved on to a different job. So the first time we went after she left, of course, it's a new person. But I had my way of ordering what I ordered and it was fine. But when I ordered with her, she said, oh, we can't do it that way. And I just said, oh, yeah, you can. I said, I know it's a little different, but just write it down and go tell the chef and he'll know. Because I know she's new. I'm not upset. Like, I pretty much said it just like that.
And you've been doing it for 2 years.
Yes. Yeah, and I didn't even tell her, like, oh, I've been doing this forever. It was nothing. I just said, oh, they'll make it. It's not a problem at all. And then the next thing I know, the manager, who we knew very well, came out, which wasn't odd. He would come to our table when he would see us. But this time he's like, Stae, what's going on? I heard you were really upset. How can I fix it for you? I'm caught off guard. I'm like, I'm not upset. I just gave my order. Oh, well, she came back and said that the lady at the table was really upset. When I saw it was you, I wanted to come right over. And I'm like, but I wasn't upset. I just gave her my order and this is what I said. And he's like, okay, well, I'll take care of it for you. No problem. But she refused to come. He waited on us for the rest of our stay. Wow. She wouldn't come back to the table.
Wow.
And I'm like, really? I wasn't upset. And I just feel like if it was a white woman or she wouldn't have taken it that way. And I also feel like she used it as an excuse as well because she just didn't want to deal with me anymore because I had an opinion and I was going to say what I wanted.
And it's upsetting to be so misunderstood. Like, I was not upset at first, but now they're perturbed, and you have to go the extra mile to hold that energy back that you have been given. And that comes down to the sapphire trope, which you talked about in the book. You mentioned a few stereotypes: Sapphire, the Jezebel, and the Mammy is another one. Do you think these stereotypes are still present in media, or do you think that they've adjusted in some ways or changed, or are we still affected by these same tropes? So we're written in like the 50s, by the way.
Right. I think we're still very much affected. Most recently, which I hate to say this, but Sinners. Did y'all see Sinners?
I did see Sinners, yes.
Okay. I hated the way the women were portrayed.
Really?
Every woman in that movie
was a stereotype of something.
Yes, and then they all gave up the cookie like for no reason. Like, why is you sleeping with this man? Like, he just came back from wherever you mad, and then the next thing you know, like, hey, like, why are we doing this? Like, that just made me upset. Like, if it would have just been one of the women, it's like, okay, because that happens. It's a story. But all of them, even the one which I think she was white passing, the really fair skinned one, I didn't quite get that story, but I guess she has some black in her family, so even that was enough. She was acted just like the other ones. Like, the girl who met the guy at the club that night, next thing you know, they in the back, like, what are you doing? Like we just either we're angry or we're over sexualized.
Yes.
Like we either mad or we hoe or we a mad hoe.
Right.
Like I don't. We do have the opportunity a lot of times to shine a little different. Like a lot of people. With the work I do, my friends used to say, "Oh, girl, you Olivia Pope. You the fixer." I never watched Scandal. So then, I didn't know. So my friends would always say, Olivia Pope, Olivia Pope. So I finally, just maybe 6 months ago, decided to sit down and watch Scandal. Because I'm not a TV person. First episode, I'm like, I'm not doing this. I can't do it. I'm like,
You felt
because
like she was stereotype as well?
Yes, why is she pining after this married white man, allowing him in that first episode, he sets her up where she's involved, where the girl ends up killing herself, and he's still chasing this man, and he is manipulating. I couldn't get past the first episode. Everybody's like, you gotta keep trying. I can't do it. But I'm sorry, I love black women, and we get in our jobs the way we can get them, but I just think differently.
Right. And I mean, I'm a Scandal fan.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this one outside of the show.
Okay.
But what you're saying is absolutely true. It is sort of a positive feedback loop that happens, and it does, penetrate our biases. So how do we start changing this image? What media can we look to for young black girls to see themselves reflected positively? What's the media that you watch?
That's a tough one because I don't watch much.
Oh, okay. We can read too.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, well, what I say is looking outside of entertainment. What I want to see for our young black women is reading more, is watching more commentary, watching news. Like I love seeing the black women, which I'm not going to think of anybody's name now. Well, like Frederica. I think maybe she's on MSNBC, Frederica Whitfield. I love seeing those, the women in the media, especially the ones who have these types of tough conversations.
Right.
Like that's what I love, where you're seeing real women having real conversations where it's not affected by a script or somebody else's idea of what we should be. That's what I enjoy watching. Like even I love watching court TV and seeing the black women attorneys come and give their commentary on things. I like watching, and I see the black women on ESPN when they're around the table talking to the men. Like that's what I like. Anything that is fiction, whatever, like you can miss me with. Like there's movies that, again, like Scandal, whatever, everybody's seen it except me. Yeah.
I was reading in your book about reality television. They pay our black women a lot of money to participate. Being that that's the case, what's the solution?
So I have a really odd opinion when it comes to reality TV and some of the other things when it comes to black people and white people type of like same situations. My husband and I talk about the reality TV a lot. I know it might sound contradictory to what I say, and it's not that I agree or I like it, but I don't really have a problem with the black women in reality TV, because when you watch all the other cities, the white women doing the same thing.
Okay.
It bothers me sometimes, which may sound contradictory, that black people are held to this high standard. Like, why do we always have to do better, act better? We're just human beings.
Right.
Some of us know how to act, some of us don't. Some of us are ratchet, some of us aren't, but that's in every race and ethnicity. So it does bother me when I hear people go so hard on the black women in reality TV, because I have never, and again, I'm not a big TV watcher, but I have binged a season of Real Housewives or One City of Another at a time. I don't follow them regularly, but I've never watched one where I felt like, oh, these would be my friends, no matter what color they were. Like, none of them know how to act. Right. So I'm like, so why can't the black women act crazy? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think there's this thing where we're beneath, but then when other races are doing the same thing, it's still, everything is worse when it's us. And I'm like, why?
We were actually having that conversation because we did Michelle Obama said something similar to what you were saying. She said that she appreciated Real Housewives or something. But this article focused specifically on Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I was like, well, they're pretty ratchet on Real Housewives of Potomac also. Real Housewives of New York City.
Like I said, I've never seen one that I wanted to be a part of their friend group.
None of them. Right. I'll catch a little clip, I'll laugh, I'll keep scrolling.
Yeah.
They're all ratchet.
And I actually went to YouTube to search Real Housewives of Potomac, and they were acting
acting up.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were acting up.
Yeah.
In fact, I would say Real Housewives of Atlanta sometimes has a little bit more class and cool. They be
Yeah.
like the nice nasty of the South. Bit.
Right, exactly. I mean, because I've seen New York, I've seen, like, none of them are just these demure, prim and proper women, you know. So I'm like, because I feel the same way when it comes to interactions with black people and the police, and something happens and they're like, well, why didn't he just whatever? Why did he run? Why didn't he just whatever? Because he's a human being and that's what he did. White people run too. White people get smart with the police too. Like, I just hate when we're held, like, we're supposed to be so low on the totem pole, but then there's just this standard where we're always supposed to know how to behave. And it's like, no, human beings just don't always behave properly, and it has nothing to do with your race or ethnicity.
Let's see. As you were talking, the word emotional control just popped up in my head. Where are you as it relates to emotional control? How do you feel like it's important, or how do you feel about it in general?
Well, that's something major to me. So my business outside of writing books, iSalt, as you mentioned, that's what we teach is emotional intelligence and soft skills. Something that I struggled with for decades growing up, had no emotional control. I was tick, tick, boom. Which makes me so great at what I do now because I had to learn through therapy and courses and whatever. It's very important. I realized how important just active listening is. There are so many times that if you would listen, you probably wouldn't even have something to say. But we hear things and automatically want to defend ourselves or jump in. And I've just learned over the years the power of just pausing and listening, because people will give you a whole lot of information if you don't give them the back and forth. People get uncomfortable in that silence. And I would just sit there and look at you just like you looked at me. And just wait and won't respond. And then they'll feel triggered automatically to say something else. So a lot of times your questions get answered without you even asking. And so emotional intelligence, emotional control is very important. And I can't say how much listening is the most effective part of communication. And I had to learn to do that because I used to be quick to want to defend myself, quick to want to have an answer. I would think about, the conversation was playing in my head probably 2 minutes ahead of where we were. So I'm listening to respond, not listening to understand. And so it's just very important to get that emotional control.
So you talked earlier about us and the police. Would you say that emotional control is important, you know, when we're pulled over or when we're questioned by police?
Yes, it would be great. And like, that's something like we've taught our sons, you know, because you have to raise your black sons from the time they're like 7 years old to teach them about things, which is so unfortunate, but it's the world we live in. And so we've taught them to listen, to not respond, don't try to defend yourself. You know, we've really instilled emotional intelligence, soft skills in our sons. But the onus is really on the police officers. They're the professionals, because again, these are regular everyday people who did not, you know, go through all of the training and stuff that police officers should go through. And I believe all police officers should have to go through some sort of emotional intelligence, sensitivity, implicit bias, all those types of trainings every single year. Like, it shouldn't just be something that comes up in the beginning in your rookie year or doing whatever they call that when they go through the police academy. It should be something that's ongoing. And now so many different things that we're finding out just about people in general. Like, back in the day, you didn't have people who had, you know, social anxiety, or at least we didn't call it that. But now we know what it is. So people who have social anxiety, or maybe they're on the spectrum in some sort of way, or maybe they have some sort of mental health issue that they're dealing with, they're not going to communicate and respond the same way. And police officers need to be aware of that. Not that they necessarily have to be professional therapists, but they should know when maybe they need to call for someone like that and be able to see those issues. My son was pulled over before and pulled out of his car, handcuffs that for no reason, and the officer kept saying, well, you seem nervous, and my son finally told him, well, I am nervous and I have social anxiety. But my son in that moment also felt violated, like, why do I have to tell you my personal business and what I'm dealing with? But, you know, to say things like who's not going to be nervous? But that's a way to try to get somebody. And he ended up leaving. I mean, the police officer called for backup, everything. And my son ends up leaving without even a ticket because nothing was going on. So.
You get the badge number?
Oh, we did. And we reported it. We went through the whole,
Okay.
Yeah, not my kid.
Okay.
And on the topic of therapy, you also spoke about the importance of counseling in the book to work through generational curses.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought this was a really heavy topic, and it's something that impacts a lot of the Black community. We don't really get into it. First, how can we get past the stigma of not wanting to go to therapy, not wanting to share our problems with another person, and even not even wanting to have the conversation? You also talked about tension between mothers and daughters. Mm-hmm. What's the first step, in your opinion?
The first step for me is realizing that you're worth it, that you don't have to keep feeling the way you're feeling. And not only are you worth it, also realizing that you may not have the tools to fix it. So if you don't have the tools, just like if you were sitting here trying to put this table together, if you don't have the tools, what do? You go to Home Depot and you get the tools. You don't just sit here with the table in a box. And so it's the same if you're having mental health issues. If you know that there's an issue, you have the tools. But I think what we also have to realize is if there's a stigma that you feel behind therapy, guess what? It's nobody's business. You don't have to tell anybody you're going to therapy. And you know your therapist isn't going to be looking at you funny because they're a therapist. Right. So I think a lot of times we don't do things because we're worried about what other people's thoughts and opinions are going to be. But guess what? They don't have a thought or opinion if we don't share it. And so I think when you brought up the mothers, that's as Black women, as Black daughters, we were raised, a lot of us, especially my generation, we're supposed to tell your mother everything. You do not have to tell your mother everything. Mm-hmm. It is not your mother's business. And it's okay. And, you know, we sometimes, as we get older, like Maya Angelou said, when you know better, you do better. And I realized in my relationship with my mother, there were some things that I had to tell her weren't her business, and I had to make her understand how she needed to be okay with that, and I had to create boundaries because my mother had this weird way of saying if you didn't tell her something, you were automatically lying. Well, how am I lying, lady? I didn't tell you. She's like, why are you lying? How's that a lie? But she's like, well, the omission of the truth. I didn't have to tell you this, but you know, it's something. Mothers and daughters, there's a lot of manipulation in those relationships, sure. A lot of manipulation, but you know, no one can judge what they don't know, and so you don't have to share.
And that's another thing that I really appreciate about this book is the conversation that it sparks. Like I said, I had a conversation with my dad about it, and I talked to my brother as well, just getting the perspective of a Black man, and also talked to other young Black girls I know. And one thing that I really appreciated is the validation of it. He asked you kind of who was it written for, and you wrote it for Black women. Anger really festers whenever people are gaslit into believing that they should not be angry. So I like the rally call behind it, like, hey, I hear you and I see you. I'm deviating from the script quite a bit here, but
look, I'm saying that's okay, but you're boss. Don't worry about it.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you for having me. Another heavy topic that we should acknowledge a little bit, we talked about misconceptions and inter-issues between Black women. You talked, I believe it was chapter 10, how we can all become catty with each other. So how can we ensure that as Black women, we are a safe space for other Black women?
Yeah, and so that, I think, so much has been ingrained in us since the beginning, where we start even looking at each other as the enemy. And it's just from past traumas, and I think too early on when there wasn't as much space for Black women as there is now, even though we still don't have enough. People start looking at the ones who were jumping into different arenas and doing different things. It's like, oh, well, you think you're better than, and not realizing that, no, they're just blazing the trail. Like, it's not about being better than, it's just like, but somebody has to be first. And so I think it's really important as Black women, as we get our platforms, as we get our stages, to invite other women in, other Black women in. That's why I love what we do with Kelly, with Hey Girl Hey, like an awesome way for that to happen. I can already see things changing and how Black women are like, okay, we can do this. And just setting that example. I've always been that person where I'm bringing somebody with me with everything. Like, I've never been a gatekeeper, but it's also, unfortunately, because I ran into that so much when I was first getting started, you know, with people not really wanting to help me. And like, I'm never looking at anybody as competition. I had a young lady come to me and want to ask me to help her write her book, and she was nervous because my first book was a women's devotional, and she said, Stae, I would really love for you to mentor me and help me with my book writing. She said, but I was just afraid you were going to say no. And I'm like, why would I say no? And she was like, because I'm writing a devotional too. And I'm like, girl, I didn't invent devotionals. I'm like, I think I might be devotional number 1 million zillion quadrillion. Like, there is devotionals. Like, if you go, yes, I'm like, and your audience may not be my audience, and vice versa, or it might be both of ours. You know, how many devotionals do I have right now just sitting on the window seat in my bedroom? You know, it's like, because I need different ones, different days. But that fear is kind of there because it happens. And see, I'm the person, I give away the store. And I'm good with that because I truly believe that it is a blessing to be a blessing. I don't try to withhold anything because I want more. I don't want to just have this that I have. So let me give you this so I can keep getting more. And I just think that we need to realize we're not each other's competition. As cliche as it may sound, we are stronger together and we are way more alike than we're different, and we can help each other. And it's about collaboration, not competition, and we just need to open those doors.
Dispelling the myth of the angry black woman. How can my viewers get a copy of this book?
There are several ways. So the book is distributed globally. So if you're interested in picking up a copy, you can get it just about anywhere where they sell books. But if you would like a signed copy from your girl Stae Hall, then you would just go to staehall.com. But, you know, there's also Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. My husband laughing at me because I always say .com. He was like, you could just say Amazon, man. People know, but, you know, I'm old. But, yeah, so anywhere but on staehall.com, you get the signed copy directly from me.
And it's a very, very good read, by the way. It's what they call a page turner.
Oh, I love that.
Okay. In your book on page 78, you said, one such issue is the battle of that black women have had to fight for the simple right to wear their natural hair. Yeah. What do you mean by that?
That is so crazy to me that ended up being something that actually was in the court systems to make it okay for, what was it, the Crown Act? Like, that's cute and everything, but it's like, why would we ever need that? How could, I mean, there were actually people and places and organizations and corporations that said that our hair, the way it naturally grows out of our head, is inappropriate, which is so bizarre, and we had to fight. Another story, I'm a storyteller. I remember that everything connects to my life. But my bonus daughter, Jasmine, when she first got out of college, she was, looking for her career job now. And so she has beautiful natural hair. Both of my bonus daughters do. I mean, they can do the bomb, twist outs, all that stuff. I think Jazz has sister locks now. But nevertheless, like, gorgeous, beautiful hair. And she had just done a really nice whatever, the hairdo, twist out, wash and go, whatever, and ends up getting a call from a company that she was really excited to interview with. And the interview was like in 2 or 3 days, and she was like, oh man, now I just did this twist out and now I gotta straighten my hair. And that broke my heart. And I'm like, why? And she's like, because I can't go into the interview with this natural hair. They don't like that. They don't think it looks professional. And of course, you know, I supported her in whatever she wanted to do, but that broke my heart. And this has been like, 7-8 years ago now. And it's still something that I remember. And she got the job, you know, but I can't say she wouldn't have otherwise, but I just hated that she felt that way. And again, I think it's just another way to control us, because I also talk in the book about how things are taken from us, because as soon as they find a way to wear their hair curly or they can do some cornrows, now all of a sudden it's a new thing. And it's good. Okay. Yeah, so then we had the Kardashian braid.
I was just about to say that.
Yes.
What was it? cornrows became boxer braids.
Right,
What?
right. And it's just like, yeah, because
What's
the
going on
Kardashians
here?
started wearing the girls who box, and then back in our day, remember Bo Derek? It was the Bo Derek braids. And it's like, Bo Derek braids, like we've been wearing our hair like that forever. But that's what I hate for us, that it isn't until some other race or culture decides to do what we've been doing. Now all of a sudden it's acceptable and it's new.
Oh, and it's in fashion.
Yes.
It's in Vogue, Harper's Bazaar.
It's like I've been
I
wearing
just
my
saw it
hair
in
in
the
braids since I was 3. It's like, you know, and I'm not young. So,
Right,
yeah,
right.
but that, it just bothers me. But now it's, you know, and I hated to see it for a lot of the news anchor women, and even being curvy. Like they were saying, some of them, oh, their dress is too tight. Like anything they put on is going to be tight. They have curves. It's like, you know, you can't hide that. You put on a pencil skirt, you're going to see curves. And that was considered inappropriate. And it's just like, yeah.
Y'all doing too much.
Yeah, and it's like, and we're just being us. But
Just
I,
being us.
I like seeing more of it, but I just hate that there's always such a fight to get there and so much criticism until the masses accept it, and it shouldn't have to be that way.
You mentioned that you were a storyteller, and this book feels like an amalgamation of your perspective on navigating being a Black woman over the years. But where exactly were you in your life when you knew that these truths need to be written down and said?
Oh goodness, I think a lot of it for me started when we had Michelle Obama in the White House. That's when I realized, like, Houston, we have a problem. Like, this woman is like the epitome of excellence. She is the first lady of our country, and people are ripping her to shreds. And that's when I realized, like, this isn't, you know, because I'm regular, so I'm like, so if stuff happens to me, you know, that's just what it is. But they doing this to Michelle Obama, like, this is a real problem. And so I thought about this book for years. The concept of the book, wasn't exactly sure it was going to be a book then, because this is my most recent book, but I just knew the conversation needed to be had. But I also have to say that I was a little afraid at first, because when I was thinking about this, I also was starting a company, and I'm also out here working with the municipalities and the school districts, and I didn't want to come across as, you know, sister soldier, like, are people going to think, oh yeah, you writing the book because you are an angry Black woman. So it took a while for me to actually figure out how I wanted to do it and when I was going to release it. But I can't lie, I was scared at first, but that stuff with Michelle Obama, that just, it really got me. It really got me, the things that they were saying about her, and the fact that it wasn't only other people, it was a lot of us as well. And then I went to an event with Wallace, and I think it may have been a funeral actually with Wallace, and one of the mothers in the church said something about me having my arms out, like, oh, must think you Michelle Obama, you need to cover them arms up. And then I had another issue with the mother in the church when I was wearing my hair natural, because I'm natural as well, but I just don't know how to do my hair, so I'm either in a silk press or this.
Right.
But I have tried my hand at the styles, and I had a mother of the church tell me, you need to just keep your hair in that silk press. I don't like when you the first lady, you don't need to be coming in here with that nappy hair all over your head. And it's just like the self-hate. It's like, okay, somebody needs to say something about this. And this mother of the church had a little teeny afro. So you have an afro, but you don't like my hair. But again, it's that self-hate, and she thought she was saying something good. And so it's just been a lot of things that have happened where I'm like, somebody has to say something. So that's where it came from.
And I'm glad you did, because like you just said, that lady with the tiny afro of the church, someone probably said that to her too.
Yes.
So that goes back to breaking general curses. Like, sometimes a Black girl's first enemy is a lady of the church.
Oh,
or even her
yes.
mom. Luckily, it's not been my case. But
Oh no, I struggled
Starts at
as a
home.
first lady. Some of the things that they would want me to talk to people about, I'm like, I'm not doing that. They're like, you see her coming in here with that little short dress on, and she, like, but she's here though.
Right.
You know, I'm not going to say anything, and you know, saying things to the little girls about her. Like, I'm not doing that. And so I loved that part of being a first lady. The fact that I was able to make an impact and not do the things the way they normally, like, I'm not going and throwing no scarf over nobody lap.
Right. But you might lose.
Right. I'm not. Yeah. But they used to come to me in the middle church. First lady, hand me a little scarf and point at the young lady in my lap. And I would just sit and put it right under my leg. Like,
Old screening church.
yeah, I'm not doing that. Yeah, I'm like, they're here. So, and I got on my pencil skirt too. So
All right.
let me go sit right behind.
I heard you. You mentioned your husband Wallace. So you two are the co-CEOs of iSalt?
Yeah, I'm the CEO and he's the president. That's just what our titles are. But yeah, it's the two of us.
Okay. What does he mean, or what has he meant to you?
In the business or just in
Just in general.
He is an awesome support for me. Wallace is one of the main reasons why I have been able to kind of come out of my shell. Like when Wallace and I first got together, the plan, so to speak, because we knew we were going to get into business, we were doing things, and at that time, like I said, Wallace was a pastor, and so he had some ideas as far as ministry, and so I was supposed to be the support for him to help him get to whatever that next level was for him. He always wanted to be a full-time entrepreneur, but he was just never able before in corporate America to put enough time into it. And so he had me, who was very entrepreneurial spirited, and so I was really supposed to be his support. I was going to be in the background. And somehow we don't know what happened. And I think mainly because he was still in corporate America for the first few years of our business, I had to be the one out there meeting everybody. Somehow I switched, and all of a sudden I'm the face of the company. And I thought especially when he came off of his job to work with me full time, I thought that might be an issue. Like he's going to be like, I'm not going to be following this woman around like I'm the man. He's nothing like that. Yeah. He is just like, no, you got this going. This is exactly what I wanted. He was like, whatever it was going to take for us to have a full-time business and us being working together, that's what I'm here for. He's like, if I got to be holding your purse for you, getting your camera together, driving you here, that's what I'm going to do. And so he has made me feel so supported. And also when I do have some trepidation in, releasing a book like this, or he's like, no, do it, babe. Do it. I got you. It's going to be great. And so I love that. And then the things, we definitely balance each other out. I'm like squirrel. I'm all over the place. He's more regimented. He can reel me back in like, baby, you're supposed to be doing this. Right. So, I mean, it's just, I couldn't ask for a better partner. It's been amazing.
Sounds like a good man.
Yes, he is an awesome man. Awesome. I mean, and he just supports me in everything and pushes me because he's like, what you gonna do now? Why don't you try this? I mean, even in YouTube videos, he'll say, I'll be watching somebody's video because I love watching fashion videos and stuff. He'll be like, well, you need to do some of those videos. You got a lot of clothes. Why don't you do a fashion video? I'm like, I can't do a fashion video. He was like, yes, you can. I'll help you. I'll set up the camera. You just get some, and that's what he does. So, yeah, he does that. And sometimes I'm like, I don't know which it is. I'm like, are you supporting me or are you just trying to work me to death? Because sometimes I'm not sure. Because he will give me some projects and he's like, I believe in you.
Yeah. You got any more questions?
Well, I think we touched on the main ones, and then we jumped around a bit. But I know you want to talk about Pittsburgh.
Well, we'll get there.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Let me jump the gun.
Well, can we talk a little politics?
As much as I am educated to talk about, I'm not a real political person, but yeah.
See, that's good. We gotta know what we don't know.
Yeah. Oh no, I definitely believe in staying in my lane, but yeah, I don't mind. I'll take a stab at it.
Well, as of last night.
Oh, I can talk about that.
Okay. There was a 7-4 vote on Fort Worth City Council yesterday.
Yes.
And it was about diversity, equity, and inclusion, or receiving federal funds. Where are you on that decision?
This is a tough one, and I know a lot of people will probably be mad at me for my thoughts on this. I knew how it was going to go, first of all. I knew what the vote was going to be.
It's Fort Worth.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been very involved in the process. As far as trying to make sure that we have a clear path forward and what things are going to look like moving forward, to make sure that even though it's not DEI in name, that we're still doing the business of DEI. Definitely proud of Chris and Mia and, Deborah and Elizabeth for doing what they did. However, I do understand that the city was in a very tough position. That's a lot of money. And as much as I am a supporter of the DEI initiatives, I also believe that losing that money would have affected us even more so because we still have the DEI, but where's the money to support it? And I also believe that if the vote would have went the other way and we would have lost that money, where were the cuts going to come first? To the black and brown neighborhoods. They're going to start closing down our rec centers. They're going to start closing down our libraries, because we're going to pay for that. And so that's what I was afraid of. They needed to vote the way they voted, as far as Chris and Deborah and them. They needed to stand up for us and show that we're here as that support. But I think that their vote also will make it so that the promises that were made and the tables that we sat at and the plans that we came up with, we're going to hold you accountable to do these things. So now that we have this small business initiative and we're not calling it minority or DEI, but we know what that means, let's still do that because we've had the conversation. So, I'm just hopeful that everybody sticks to the plan, does what they go, because that money, again, the money was going to affect everybody, and I think it was going to end up affecting us the most.
Right.
When there's going to be when there has to be cutbacks, it's going to be our daycares being shut down or whatever, and so use the money wisely, spread the wealth, share the money, change the wording of the programs, and let's just keep doing the work.
Is DEI necessary?
It is. It is. It holds people accountable. Just the regular process would be great if that's how it went, where it can just be on your merits. But that's not how it is. People say they don't see color. Yes, you do. And I need you to see color. But it is. It's needed. It's needed because the scales are so unbalanced. Now, hopefully one day it won't be needed, but we're not there yet. It's not today. And again, I don't care what we call it. Let's just make sure that we're still intentional about not overlooking people, because you have a lot of people who are minorities that are very capable, more than capable of doing things that they were overlooked for before there was DEI. And then there's a lot of things now that we have initiated and started and catapulted to prove that not only are we're capable, we're able to take it a step further. So yeah, it's needed, unfortunately.
During the presidential election process, Kamala was being called a DEI candidate.
Which is so ridiculous.
What were your thoughts?
That's ridiculous. To be the candidate for vice president, you're handpicked. There's no portal. There's no, she was handpicked. So it makes no sense. And then even in her, and I'm talking about her as the vice president. Right. And then even her presidential campaign, again, is the vote. You don't, it's crazy. But they say anybody who is black and has any type of power, if somebody doesn't like them, you're going to call it DEI, which is ridiculous. So, yeah.
You sung the Black National Anthem at the Cowboys of Color rodeo.
Yes.
The annual Cowboys of Color.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
That was amazing. And so
I enjoyed that, by the way.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. It was so much fun. I got to see Dickey's Arena in a whole new light, because we find ourselves at Dickey's Arena quite often, but I had never been down underneath and right where the bulls are and all that. So that was different. But everybody who knows me knows I've retired from singing. But if I was going to come out of retirement, that was the time to do it. And it actually happened to be the same weekend that I had my official book release and my book signing. So that was just a big weekend for me. I had my friends come in literally from all over the country. I had Virginia was here, Indiana was here, from all over the country. But it was just amazing. When it was first, Glenda, who's with Visit Fort Worth, was the first one. Who asked me about doing it, and it was just amazing. And I could literally hear people who knew me up there actually yelling my name when I heard "Sing, Stae," and I'm like, oh my gosh. And so yeah, it was a surreal moment, but I loved every second of it. And everybody was like, "You're not nervous?" No, I was not nervous at all. I'm never nervous but I was definitely just in awe of the moment, and then seeing my big face pop up on the Jumbotron from time to time. So I was like, oh, look at me on Beyonce's Jumbotron.
Wow.
you did that.
Thank you. Yeah. It was great. It was great.
You did that. You're from Pittsburgh.
I am, born and raised.
So the last week I was over here, and you said that Pittsburgh was offered. We're talking a little bit of sports, just a little bit. You said that Pittsburgh was offered the America's Team mantra.
Yes.
You care to talk about that?
I mean, it just is. Pittsburgh was offered that mantra. It was back in the 70s, and that was, you know, in our heyday. The Dallas Cowboys were like one of our biggest rivals. We had played in the Super Bowl a couple of times. But Pittsburgh was on top. I mean, Pittsburgh is still on top. They're always going to be on top. And so it was offered to them to have that tag, America's Team. But the Rooneys, anybody who knows anything about the Rooney family and that franchise, they are very humble. They don't have a lot of flash about them. Even when you see our helmets, our logo is only on one side. And we're the only team in the NFL like that. And that's just because the Rooneys aren't about the flash. But when they were originally brought the helmet just to see if they liked it, they were like, okay, this is cool. And the people were like, okay, well, we'll put the logo on the other side. They're like, we don't need it on both sides. Like, that's just how they are. And so when they were given that option to have Pittsburgh be America's team and start that whole thing, they just turned it down and said, we don't need that. We're Pittsburgh's team. We're not America's team. And so they went to the second best and asked the Cowboys, and they took it.
Dallas Cowboys fans.
No shade. It is what it is. Google it.
You're welcome to chime in.
Google it.
Well, I want to thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
And sitting down with us, and while we're on, on camera, I want to say thank you to my daughter for partaking in this interview as well. You did a great job.
You did, and I didn't know it was your first time until he mentioned that.
Now they know too.
Goodness. Well, no, he said he said my daughter's here for the first time, and I was like, I was shocked. I was like, really? Yeah.
So this has been the 21st edition of the Positive Postman's podcast, and don't forget to get this book, Dispelling the Myth of the Angry Black Woman, author Stae.
And we will link the description in the box below.
Thank you.
Peace.